Hi everyone, it's Jeff from Avada here. Welcome back. This is part 3 of the Building a Website from Scratch with Avada video course. This course is aimed at both beginners and more intermediate users, and in it I show you how to use the Avada website builder to create a complete website from scratch. If you haven't watched parts 1 and 2 yet, please follow the links below and watch the series from the start. Also, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with all the latest videos like this one. And if you don't want to miss one, click the bell icon to get notifications of all new videos on our channel. Okay, let's begin. In the last video in this series, we configured the site's header and footer. In this video, we are going to be building the content on the homepage. This is the most important page on the site, so we will be taking our time to get it right. I'm in the live builder, and here on our homepage there's a lot of layout content that the setup wizard added. If I just collapse the navigator here, we can see there are 7 individual containers on the page, each with their own design. Depending on your intended design and content ideas, some of these containers might be very useful to you and save you a lot of time building. Of course, you can delete individual containers and keep what you want, or just delete the whole layout. In this instance though, I'm going to clear this layout by clicking on the Clear Layout button on the toolbar, and then build this page from the ground up. My hero container is first, and here I want a section that's going to be striking, to the point, and good for SEO. I could create it from scratch of course, but let's see what Avada Studio has to offer. The link to Avada Studio here on the starter page is for full pre-built pages, but I want to build container by container, and so I will add a container and then go to the Avada Studio tab. I'm basically looking for something with a title and a button on one side and room for an image or perhaps even a form on the other. So many to choose from. I might filter to hero containers. They will probably have most of what I want. Actually, I don't think I need to look much further. This one called Technology Container has pretty much everything I want. 2 columns with a title, some text and a button in one, and an image or room for something else in that second column, and a section separator at the bottom. I'll just make sure local styles and use placeholders are selected, and I'll just import that. Okay, it loads on the page, and this will be the basis for my hero section. I'll start by editing the container, and let's call this one Hero at the top here. I'll then go to the Background tab, and I'll remove this background color here. I'll just check for any gradient, and there is a gradient here. Well, whatever it was needed for in the example, I don't need it, so I'll remove that as well. And then to images. Here I will remove this placeholder and add my hero image. I have it in the media library here, and it's the hero image from my style guide, and uses a lot of the accent color. I'll just make sure the full-size image is inserted. I'll also adjust the background position to be center bottom. With full-width images like this one, I'm using a standard of 1920 pixels width. That strikes a balance between quality and size. If you have many users on bigger screens, you might want a bigger image, but this is a good compromise size, and the majority of the world is still using HD screens. For smaller images, you might want to double the pixel size of the image for retina purposes, but you have to pay a small cost in file size. Image sizing can get pretty complex, so I'll add a link below the video to one of our blog posts on the subject. Okay, let's move on. This container is bigger than what I want, and I can instantly see that with a background image, an image in the right column's not going to work. So for now, I'll just delete that column. Yeah, that looks better already. I'll just go back to the container. I don't think I need this column spacing, so I'll delete that. And I think on the Design tab, I'll just reduce this top margin just a bit to 100 pixels. Okay, so now to the content. I'll edit the title and change it to High Quality Painting and Decorating. And on the Design tab, I'll just set the color to color 7, and I might set the top margin to 0 pixels to tighten this up just a bit more. I'll also edit the text element, and I could edit the text here of course, but for this example, let's just leave this as lorem ipsum. But on the Design tab, I'll set the color to color 7, and I can see there's a bit of opacity applied here as well, and I think I'll remove that. I might also just adjust the margins. I'll set the right margin to 20%, which will constrict the text a bit, and I'll change the bottom margin back to 40 pixels. Okay, now for the button. For a start, I'll just link it to the services page, and I want it to say Discover More. On the Design tab, I can see the button style has default style, which is okay, but I think I will clear this padding here so it also takes default padding values. Okay, that's looking good. And finally here, I will edit the section separator. For this site, I will change the style to, surprise, surprise, the one called Paint. The height is set to 60 pixels here, and the repeat value is on 1. But I might experiment here a bit. Let's try 100 pixels as the height and 3 as the repeat. That seems a bit busy perhaps, so maybe I will lower the height value to say 70 pixels and reduce the repeat to 2. Yeah, that looks better to me. I think the next section will have a white background, and on the Design tab, the background color is set to color 1, so that's all good. I will need this same section separator again, so I might actually save this column into the library at this point to save some time later on. I'll just call it section separator and save it to the library. Okay, let's just check this is looking as I'd like in the responsive views. It looks okay on medium screens, and it looks good on mobile. I'm not entirely happy with the tablet view, but I might leave it for now, as I may add some more content to this hero container later. I'm starting to think a form might look good here. In any case, for now, I'll just come back to large screen view and save our work. Okay, let's now move on with the rest of the page. For the other homepage content, I want a services section, a reviews section, and one for most recent projects. Let's start with the services section. I'll add a new 1.1 container and edit it. Let's call this one Our Services. If we move to the Design tab and the description on the padding option, we can see that the default container padding is 0 pixels top and bottom on a 100% width template. And I want to space things out a bit, so I'll set 70 pixels top and 110 pixels bottom padding. For the column, I might also add some more bottom margin, as the default is only 20 pixels, and I want some more content under here. I'll make it 100 pixels. That might be a bit big, so let's reduce it to 60 pixels and try and keep that standard going forward. Generally, consistent spacing across the site is a good idea, but at the same time, sometimes the specific design requires different spacing. Anyway, let's start with the title element. This one will be called Our Services. On the Design tab, I'll center this and make it a H2. Now underneath this, I'm going to add a separator element. I'll set the style to single border solid, and on the Design tab, I'll set the separator width to something quite small, let's say 60 pixels, the border size to 2, and the color to color 4. Yeah, that's it. I might actually save this column with these two elements in it as well, as I'm likely to be using this again, and that will save a bit of time and also help me keep my standards in place. I'll call it Title and Separator, and save that. Actually, it might be a good time to take a quick look at our global typography settings. I'll just head to the Global Options and the Typography settings. If I go to the Headings Typography tab, we can see the font we chose in the wizard is called Francis. All the headings are based on the Headings Global Typography set, with the various heading font sizes relative to our body font and the sizing ratio preference we set in the wizard. But of course, if we wanted to change them, we could just enter new values here. While I'm here, I might just set the H1 to H3 headings to capitalize. I don't think I use the others. Okay, if we now look at the body typography, we can see the selected font is Redex Pro. Again, we can see these settings are grey, and this denotes that it is pulling these values from a global typography set. If I just mouse over it, it shows me it's pulling these values from the body global set. Under this, we can see the link color and the link hover color, and an option to enable link text decoration. I don't think I'll be having many links in the body text on this site, so I think I'll just leave this disabled. But if you're going to be having a lot of inline links, this is the place to decorate those. Okay, if we go now to Global Typography, we can see all the sets. You can add as many of these sets as you wish from the button at the bottom here. The heading set is using Francis, and all the others are using Redex Pro with variations in variant and font size. I think I want a slightly bigger body font on this site, and this is the place to change it. So I will edit the body set, and here I will increase the base font size to 18 pixels. And immediately the body font we have in the top container increases in size. Yeah, that's good. Alright, let's just save these changes. For more information on global typography sets, and global options generally, see the links below the video. Okay, let's add some content under this. I have 4 services, so I think I will make 4 columns with images on them. Let's start then with a 1/4 column and when we finish that, we can clone it for the other three. I'll start by adding a background image. I could add it, of course, as an image element, but I want it to be a background image here with a title on top of it, so adding it to the column is the right choice. I have an image here I'm going to use for the general painting page, but there's no point in adding the full-size image here. Instead, I'll add the 600 pixel version. I'll also just adjust the background position to center. Now let's add a title. This one will say General Painting. I'll change the heading size to a H3, and here I might override the font size to 24 pixels and set the font color as color 1. And I might set the top margin to 0 pixels. Okay, to make the font stand out better, let's go back to the column options, and on the background tab we can add a background color. Let's set it to be color 8, but in the global color preferences I'll adjust the alpha channel to be -70. And now on the image tab, I'll set the background blend mode to overlay. Now let's go to the design tab and adjust the padding on this column. I want the title to be near the bottom, so I will add more top padding than anywhere else. For this I might try a VW value. VW stands for viewport width, and this is a percentage of the viewport width. If I add 4 VW, we can see it pushes the title down. I want these bigger, so I might double that to 8 or maybe 9 VW. That's starting to look okay, so now I will add some padding around the outside. I will try values of about 20 pixels. Yeah, I think that's now looking pretty good. I'll also add a hover type to this column. I think zoom in will look good here. And back on the General tab, I will add a link URL to the General Painting page so this whole column links to that page. Also, if the titles on the other column stretch over 2 lines, the columns will be a different height. So I might just set the alignment to stretch here in case, and change the content alignment option to flex end. Yeah, I'm happy with that, so let's clone this column a few times. I'll just edit the background images and titles and links on these and be back in a sec. Okay, one final adjustment. I will go to the container element here and add some loading animation. That's on the Extras tab. I'll choose Fade from the bottom at about 1.3 seconds, and I'll leave the delay and the default offset. Now before we move on, let's check the responsive views on this container. On medium screen view, we can see it inherits from large screen, and here I think it might be better if these were 1/2 size columns instead of 1/4. So I'll just edit each one and change the column size to 1/2, just for medium screen view. I think the container padding is a bit off here as well, so I'll edit the container and increase the left and right padding to 50 pixels and reduce the bottom padding to 70 pixels. Okay, that's better. Let's look now at small screen view. This inherits the medium screen padding changes I made, and this looks really good. Okay, this section has been a good example of just what you can do with responsive option sets. And that's the Our Services section finished. Let's return to large screen view and save our changes again. The Reviews section is next, and I've seen that there is a Studio container that will do just fine for this. So I'll add a new container and head to the Studio tab and filter to Review here and preview the Reviews container. I'll just make sure the colors and typography is on local, and I might just import these images to use, so I'll check that's on images, and so now this is good to import. Okay, that comes in and it looks pretty good. Now obviously with a real site we would use real reviews and real images, but here these will do. I'll just start by editing the container. I'll call it Reviews. And I will also make a few changes here. I will edit the first title and set this to be a H2. I'll leave the text block text, but I will edit the button and link the URL to the Reviews page. I also think the text in the reviews is a bit big. Let's have a look at that. If I edit the text and go to the Design tab, we can see that this is using a typography set. And if I mouse over it, I can see it's the subheadings set. I'm pretty sure we haven't used that set anywhere else. So instead of overriding each one here, I'll edit the set instead. I'll just go back to the Global Options and Typography, Global Typography, and edit the subheadings set. I'll just reduce that to 18 pixels. And as we can see, all our reviews change font size as well. Okay, that looks much better. Okay, I think I'm pretty much done here. But again, let's just check the responsive design. And here I think I want a couple of small changes. I will edit the container and change the right and left padding to 50 pixels. And this first column looks to have custom column spacing, but on medium screens I think I will change this column's right spacing to 2%. Let's just preview that. Yeah, that looks better. And I'll just check small screen view. And this looks perfect as is. Okay, let's come out of preview and back to large screen view and move on to the next section, the recent projects section. Here I want a simple way to show some recent projects. I think using the portfolio custom post type is a bit overkill here, so I might just add a type of gallery here. To save some time, I might actually just scroll up to the Our Services container and copy this one, as I can reuse the title and separator. I'll just copy it and then paste it in under my last container. Okay, let's change our container name to Recent Projects, and let's do the same to the title here, and then get rid of these 4 columns. Instead, I will add a 1-1 column under the title column and add a gallery element into that. Let's start by adding the 3 images that are going to represent the most recent projects. I'll just click on Bulk Add and select them from the media library. For the thumbs, I'll just choose the 600 pixel version. And for this example, I'll set this up as if we have 6 recent projects instead of just 3. So I will duplicate these 3 images and rearrange them a bit. Now let's just go to the General tab. Here I will change the number of items to 3, so only the first 3 are displayed, and this gives us pagination in the form of a Load More button. I'll change the Load More button text to Load More Projects, and I might change the aspect ratio to 1:1 so the thumbs are fully square. The lightbox is on by default, so let's move to the Design tab. I'll just increase the spacing here, something like 40 pixels I think will work. There are lots of options here, so check out the gallery element documentation for more information on this element, but I'm just going to go to the bottom and change the Load More button colors. I'll make the text color color 1 and the background color 5. Okay, now to the Caption tab. I want to use one of these, and here I think I will use Racer. I just need to customize it a bit. I'll set the title to be a H3, and for the font, I'll load the heading typography set and override the font back to about 26 pixels, and the font color to color 1. I'm going to have a caption as well as a title here, so I will set the image caption typography to be the subheading set, and set that to color 1 as well. And at the bottom, I'll set the image overlay color to be color 8. Now the gallery element automatically pulls both title and caption from the actual file, if that is set when images are loaded into the media library. If I just edit one of these images, we can see the title and caption fields in the attachment details section. But if you haven't added them there, you can always add them in the actual items right here. Now if you wanted, you could also link these items to a portfolio item or a service page, etc. But I just want the lightbox to open and display my image. And now this section is pretty much done. Again, to finish this off, I'll just go to the container and edit the animation. I'll stick with fade, and the direction is okay from the bottom, but this time I'll give it a speed of 2 seconds. And I might actually reduce the bottom padding a bit on this one, to 70 pixels. And for now, that's our homepage. Let's save this. And let's view the current state of the build on the front end. As the page loads, we can see the animation kick in, some of which is coming from the Avada Studio items we customized, and some I set myself. Our header and hero section look great, and as I scroll down we can see the services section, the reviews section, and the recent projects section. They all look really good. If I click on the Load More Projects button, the other 3 duplicate projects load as well. And at the bottom our footer is also looking great. When we create some products and blogs, we will come back and add these to our homepage. But for now, let's call that finished and move on to the other pages. That's in the next video. See you there. Okay, this concludes part 3 of our video on building a website from scratch with Avada. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to keep up with all the latest videos. And if you have any questions or need assistance, please create a support ticket and our team will gladly assist you. As always, we want to thank you for choosing Avada.